That reminds me of one of my favorite Jim Rohn quotes, which is, success is something you attract by the person you become. You know, meaning that to affect change, you have to change who you are. You have to grow as a person. And I know as someone who's, you know, been a kind of, myself being a personal student of personal development, that was easy for me to say. You know, it's the changes that I've made and the envelopes that I've pushed and going outside my comfort zone that has caused real growth and effective change in my business.
Yeah, very true. And it's tough when you're caught up in the day-to-day demands of your business to actually pay attention to your own growth as a leader.
So how do you help people? Do you work with people on things like as basic as goal setting? Because I know, like, for me, my experience in my own challenges in my own small businesses, even as the simple goal setting things is something that I thought I knew how to do it, but really it wasn't working effectively until I worked with a coach.
Oh, interesting. It can be goal setting. For some people, the goals are very clear, and other people actually have trouble figuring out what success would look like. So it may be actually getting very clear about what success means to you, what it would look like in different time frames. Mm-hmm. Other people have a greater difficulty with current reality, actually seeing things as they are, whether that's financial information or the relationships with their people in their business or their leadership team, all of those kinds of things. So some people it's that, and other people it's being able to figure out next steps and smart actions.
Mm-hmm. All right, thanks a lot, Joel. We're going to have you back in the second segment here. We're going to have to come to our first commercial break, and remember the theme, trivia theme is raunchy movies.
No sports. I'm so disappointed.
Okay, we got one hard question and two easy ones, in my opinion. Okay, this is the hard one. What was the name of the hockey team Paul Newman played? It is sports, I guess. What is the name of the hockey team Paul Newman played for in the 1977 movie Slapshot? The first three callers with the correct answer win a free 3-day, 2-night stay at the Lighthouse Resort. Again, their website is lighthouse4fun.com. Call 888-912-1190. That's 888-912-1190 to answer this question. What was the name of the hockey team that Paul Newman played for in the 1977 movie Slapshot? 888-912-1190. Make sure to include your name, address, email address, and speak slowly and spell out your email address for us. And we will be right back. Okay, good.
Yeah, well, and I actually had kind of a follow-up with it, because for me it wasn't so much, okay, I want to earn $50 million in origination fees this year, write that down on a piece of paper, stick it in a file, and never look at it again. It was, how do I focus on what's the most important thing that I should be doing this week, today, hour by hour? That's the hardest thing that I've found is, you know, I'm 3 years into a new business, and, you know, got 6 employees and all these things going on, and now it's just, there's so much to do, and I can spend time being the technician, to use a E-Myth phrase, the manager, or the entrepreneur. And I know that I should spend 80% of my time doing entrepreneurial stuff and 20% doing the management and the technical, but guess what? No matter what I know, I still end up defaulting to 80% technical and 20% entrepreneurial.
Isn't that the point where your business has kind of reached this weird plateau?
It's
where,
the weird
plateau. You've kind of climbed up.
Yeah, when I'm not making enough money to hire new people,
yeah.
but I so sorely need a personal assistant and another this and another that and another that.
And then you're like, now how am I going to pay for that?
Yeah,
because that's going to take out of the income.
Because I hit my
two things you just said, that the business is a reflection of will be limited by your own personal leadership. So who do I need to be running a $5 million company instead of $1.5 million?
Absolutely. No, and that's so
And then
true.
what are the systems we need in place to support it?
And it's always about expanding your comfort zone, isn't it? I mean, the only way your business is growing is if you're outside your comfort zone a little bit. At least that's always been my experience.
Yeah.
I'm always pushing the boundaries.
Otherwise you get complacent.
You get complacent. Yeah, and then you just kind of get comfortable. And you stop growing.
Well, it's true, and for me it was public speaking, because I've known for a couple of years now that I needed to be an evangelist for private money, and I had to find what is it that I have to offer, because I can't just go out and promote, you know, borrow from me. I have to.
You have to be an expert.
And I finally had that aha moment in the last few months. And
So true.
it is how do you? So now I've got a topic, and I actually did my first webinar a couple of weeks ago, which was key for me because it forced me to sit down and outline my script, come up with my story.
I just did my first one about 2 or 3 weeks ago.
And that's
as well.
going to dovetail to a stand-up 45 to an hour presentation in front of a group, and I hope to do that several times. But I did come up with one. It's how to attract private money, and so it's the audience is real estate investors, because I get calls all the time going, well, I know I can borrow from you, but how do I find an equity partner?
Yeah.
And so
I still get
I
calls like
figured
that.
out how to come up with something that I think is saleable to help people. To help people do that. So anyway, that for me, to answer your, to respond, to agree with what you said, is pushing the envelope, public speaking, being an evangelist for what it is.
Okay, guys, we're
you're
gonna
doing.
kind
Yep.
of get this
Yep.
back.
Yep.
Okay. So
Absolutely.
again, we're gonna animate this a little bit more,
Okay.
and you're gonna say right up to the mic like this, and
Right
then
up
you
to the
need go
mic
like
and
that.
animate.
So I got a follow-up
Okay.
question to the goal setting thing. And
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
All right.
So we'll follow. Okay, ready? We're gonna here we go. We're gonna 5 seconds of silence. Welcome back to the Best of Investing. I'm Edward Brown, your host. I'm in the studio here with Mark Hanf of Pacific Private Money, Brian Burke of Praxis Capital, and our guest Joel Yanovitz. And when we cut to the first commercial break, we asked this trivia question. And again, the theme is raunchy movies. What was the name of the hockey team Paul Newman played for in the 1977 movie Slapshot? Anyone?
Yeah, so we blend a sports question with a movie question to make it
Yeah,
10 times
that
harder.
really-
You're killing me
The
here.
Ducks?
No. Anyone?
No, I'm a blank on that one.
Okay, the Chiefs. You have to see the movie.
Oh,
That's the one with the
of course, should have known
That's
that.
the one with the Hanson brothers, the glasses, and the big
that's
nose. Remember
right.
that? Okay, the name of the Chiefs. All right. And Mark, you had a question for Joel you want to ask him.
Yeah, Joel, we were talking about goal setting before the first commercial break, and what I wanted to expand on that, it's not so much just like writing down what's your goal for the year, your goal for your business, which I know a lot of us are told, if your goal is not in writing, it's just a delusion. So I've got this goal in writing, but for me, it's also, in my business, it's the daily and the weekly planning and goal setting. It's how do I focus on growing my business as opposed to just doing all the, answering emails and answering the phone and doing the daily technical stuff. And that's what I tend to find most challenging.
Yeah, and you're not alone in that. The biggest thing I found to be helpful to people is if you look at your calendar, your time by how much time you spend on everything, and put it into 2 simple buckets. How much time you're spending reacting to everything else coming at you, and how much time you are spending on creating the things that are important to you in the business. So where do you want to take the business? What are the critical few things that will move it ahead in the next 90 days, 30, 60, 90 days, short term? This is not the grand vision, the grand plan. This is how do you move the business in the direction you want to move it in the next 30, 60, 90 days? What are the critical few, 2 or 3 things you can do to move it in that direction, and then put those first?
Disconnect your email account.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, yes. Or at least
your
turn the
email off.
notifications off.
Yeah, turn all the notifications off except for...
Wait, hold on. I'm answering some emails here. What was
Yeah,
that?
right,
I missed
yeah,
that
see?
one.
Uh-huh.
Right, yeah. And by the way, we were talking at the break about the notion of comfort zone, of doing things out of your comfort zone.
Indeed, yes.
Yeah, right.
I'm not a big fan of that, of comfort as a standard of measurement of whether things are right. So sometimes people will say, well, I'm not really comfortable with that, so I'm not sure I should do it. Or sometimes people say, well, that's out of my comfort zone, so it must be good. I would say basing what you do or your judgment or assessment of an idea based on your comfort with it is a bad criteria. A better criteria is this one of the critical few, 2 or 3 things that will move the needle on those goals over the next 30, 60, 90 days? And if so, I don't really care how I feel about it. I'm going to
That's
do
right,
it.
yeah.
So, and I totally agree with that. It's what are the 3 things I should be focusing on in my business as a way of moving forward? But what about the 35 other things? I mean, how do you work with guys who are saying there's so much to do and I'm not yet at a profit level where I can hire people that I need to do that? How do you work
Yeah.
within that quandary?
Yeah. 2 principles. One is design systems to handle repetitive tasks so that you're not always doing them. And the other is benign neglect. If you just didn't get to it, there are some things you're just not going to get to. And if the problem you're having is the things you're just not getting to are the most important things to move your business forward, you're better off doing those and neglecting other things and annoying or angering some people because you're not doing those things, but your business is moving forward.
Okay, I feel like I have to sit on the psychologist's couch here for a minute. Okay, I'd like to go on vacation at some point, but I can't because
Sorry.
I'm so exactly. My wife's been bugging me about that, but I get so busy and I get nervous that if I go on vacation and I don't bring the laptop or cell phone or whatever, I'm going to be so angst because I know when I get back I'm going to have to need another vacation from the vacation.
Yeah.
How do you deal with that?
I call it, when you come back, that's the penalty phase.
Yeah, that's right. And is it worth it?
Yeah. Yeah, that's a great
for your
question.
sanity, I know you have to. Let's see. Okay, I want to ask you one question here. Passion is one of the words that we often use to describe entrepreneurs.
Yep.
But you say that it can be a mistake to focus on that. It seems to be. Let's see. It seems like being passionate would be a good thing. So what's so bad about being passionate?
Yeah, nothing bad about being passionate, but this is another one of these mythologies we have about entrepreneurs, that they're passionate about what they do. Now, if you look at successful entrepreneurs, after they've built their companies and made lots of money, they are in fact passionate about what they do. But if you look at when they started their company, most likely they were more interested, they were more curious, they were more wondering, it's kind of like dating. When you go out on your first date with somebody, not that there might be some passion there, but it's not a committed relationship. You're kind of like, yeah, I like going out with her. She was nice. I think I'd like to see her again. And entrepreneurs have that same relationship to their ideas, to their business. When you guys started your business, you didn't have this great passion for it. You're like, no, man, maybe I could try this. Maybe I could make a living doing this. I'll do it for a while before I quit my day job.
That's actually very true, yeah.
Yeah, it is.
I don't know.
Yeah.
My wife said that as soon as she saw me, she says, "That's the guy I'm going to marry." You guys laugh, but it's so true.
It's just true.
She still tells you that story. Huh?
Exactly.
And it's still working.
Tell me a bedtime story.
But so passion, it's not that passion is bad. The problem is, if I've got an idea and something I'm interested in doing, but I don't take action because I'm just not passionate enough. And I think that if I'm not passionate about this idea, I shouldn't do it because there's something wrong. I should wait till I have an idea I'm really passionate about, then I won't do anything. And entrepreneurs don't think that way. They act and they learn from what they do and they build on that. And over time, they see if their commitment and interest and passion for the idea grows. And they also see if the market's interest in their idea grows.
Okay. And for the audience, in case you just joined us, we're in the studio here with Joel Yanovitz, and Joel is a business consultant. And before we forget, we're not going to sign you off yet, but before we forget, want to find out how do people get a hold of you? How do you charge for your services, etc.?
Let's see, the best way for people to get hold of me is our website, and a lot of these ideas are on just-start.com. Just start with a hyphen, just-start.com. And in fact, one of my good friends and colleagues wrote a book called Just Start that has a lot of these ideas in it, and you can download a free chapter on that, juststart.com
And
website.
this podcast will be up probably by next Thursday, and also will be up on YouTube, Best of Investing Radio Show.
So Joel, I have an idea for a business I want to start, and I think I might be good at it. Don't know that I have passion for it yet, but what is the best way to start? How do you coach people on starting an entrepreneurial business endeavor?
Yeah, great question, great question. I suspect there are probably a lot of people listening to this who are in the same boat. I'm thinking of doing something, I've always had this idea and I don't know how to start. The answer is figure out the simplest first step you can take to test the idea. And we talk about smart steps, there's a couple things. One is, don't worry about making progress, worry about learning. So in the first step you say, I don't really know who my customers would be, or I don't know which features of this service people will really value. Rather than figure that out beforehand, try something, offer it to some people, even if you offer it for free to friends. Try this out, or you mock up some products in your basement, try to sell them at a farmer's market, anywhere, to get feedback from the market.
I don't have the patience. I just come up with the idea and say, write me a check.
Well,
Where's my $1 million?
Yeah,
so okay,
yeah.
you
And how many checks have you gotten so far?
None. I guess I better start on your idea.
you've got the idea, and
Yeah.
you've just started, and
Yep.
you've got going. Now here's the tough part.
Okay.
Everybody loves the entrepreneurial success story. You came up with a great idea, you started it, and you built it into something grand. But what most people don't realize is that along the way, you tripped over yourself, you failed, something didn't work. But the successful entrepreneurs are the ones that get past that and start again, or try again, or find a new way.
Yep.
So what do you say to people that are in that phase where they're like, gosh, I really gave this a shot, and it just didn't work for me, or I found this obstacle and I just can't seem to get past it?
Yeah, well, that's a great question, and it's really hard to not get discouraged. I've certainly been there myself many times.
Yeah, who hasn't?
Right, exactly. But the key is what you said, is learn from it. So if I'm really interested in this idea, and I think there's a there, so to speak, what can I learn from the fact that my first 3 attempts failed?
Yep.
You know, and if those failed, I now know something that I didn't know before. And in fact, I may know something that none of my competitors know.
That's right.
So how do I use that information?
But what did Edison, how many times did he fail?
Yeah.
A couple thousand? before?
Thousands of times,
Yeah.
right. I mean,
Well,
it's hysterical, the stories of what he actually tried to put as a filament in a light bulb. I don't remember half of them, but yeah.
Or
So
even
whatever
look
it
at,
was-
Abraham Lincoln also, how many times did he fail?
Yeah, I mean, you have to fail. That's the only way that you improve on what it is that you're doing. Is something didn't work, and that forces you to change and find a different way to do it. And I think so many times people get caught up where they go, gosh, I'm having this difficulty, or this isn't working, and they pull back, or they just give up completely. And I think that's the critical juncture between a successful entrepreneur and one that goes back to work.
Yeah, and so here's the question. Here's the thing that we found really interesting, is how you design those steps so that if you fail, you can keep going.
Yes.
How do you live to fight another day? And it turns out there's a concept called acceptable loss, which is I'm going to make this bet. How do I make the bet in such a way that if I'm completely wrong, I've either preserved enough capital, enough relationship credibility, enough personal energy and pride, whatever it is, I've preserved enough that I know I can take another step.
Intestinal fortitude.
Yeah.
Joel, thanks for joining us in the studio again. Your website, one more time?
Just-start.com.
Great. All right, we are going to cut to our second commercial break, and here is the second trivia question. Again, the theme is raunchy movies. This one's a little easier. Sacha Cohen starred in this 2006. All I had to do was say Sacha Cohen. You guys know that.
That's a giveaway.
Yeah, hold on. In this 2006 movie as a spook